What is going on, everybody? It is episode 857 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. We are back from the weekend, and I'm here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. We have just gotten back from the weekend, and it's the start to a new beautiful week full of rage baiting, engagement farming, and unabashed hating.
And Mary's verbal tics.
And my verbal tick of the day is... well, I don't know. It's somewhere between Will Smith's new song, Pretty Girls, and that Arctic Monkeys lyric that says, I want to be your vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. That, like, the funny thing is she mentioned it, and she goes, I don't even know if that's the lyrics. I'm like, well, I don't know either, but I know exactly what song you're talking about. So
right.
Functionally, those are the lyrics, even if they're not.
Right. Yeah, you might have misheard it, but it doesn't matter. So that one just popped into my brain today. I'm broken. And it was Cher last week. Last week it was Scooby Dooby Dooby.
See, the thing is when you're live, you kind of hold back. You went for it way harder when we were not live.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you guys really want the full-on Cher impression, you're gonna have to formally request that in the Superchats, because you don't just get that for free, okay?
Yeah.
We can do the Benson Boone one. We can do all sorts of things.
Benson Boone's trash ass can be done for free, but Cher?
Moonbeam ice cream.
Yeah.
You know, that whole thing.
This is our life, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I really do. I hope you had a happy Father's Day as well. I hope you said hello and thank you to your dad. And I hope if you are a dad, your family did the same for you, because we need more people to celebrate
but
dads.
You know what?
I only
it's
saw
Happy Father's Day also to dog dads.
Yeah. Okay, that's worse. I thought you were about to say to single moms, but
also to single moms.
I use that post as a gauge as to where you are in the culture war. If you're annoyed when they do the Happy Father's Day to the single moms out there who raised their kids instead of a dad, that's like a guide to just how angry you are with the culture war. Because if it doesn't bother you, it could be one of two things. It's kind of like horseshoe theory. Either you haven't been into the culture war at all and you're just kind of neutral to it, and you're like, oh, okay, I get that. You know, dad wasn't around. Or you've come so far the other direction that you just don't care anymore, and you're like, whatever.
We have the official request, 20 from Shane H. Wilder. Cher now. You're welcome, crisis actors.
You really have to put the oomph in the Scooby Dooby Dooby.
Okay. I gotta get into character
it's
now.
It's very hard to just break into this from
this
neutral.
This is just the way that I torture Brett all
Yes.
day. Is just breaking into song. Okay. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby Dooby Dooby.
Yes, that was the full one right there.
That's the Cher impression.
the other one that you do has a bit of a giggle in the middle of it that doesn't quite hit the full note.
Which one?
That when you normally do it, you don't really commit to the whole bit. That one you committed to the whole bit on it.
Yeah.
That was very good.
I went mask off.
We're setting a fantastic tone for the upcoming week, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, how could you hear that and not hit the like button on this video?
Yeah.
And, that or turn it off right automatically.
Yes, that just is gonna shoo away all of the new people who are trying to give us a chance. But
so subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and hit the like button on this video simply for Mary's impression of Cher. No other reason needed. And remember to share this content out with your friends, your family, your loved ones.
Share the content.
See, there's been so many times in my life where I make a comment like that and everyone's like, that was really clever. I'm like, I didn't even mean it that way. But thank you.
Clever.
Share this content out with everybody that you know, your family, your friends, your loved ones, everybody in your life. If you have a mortal enemy or just somebody on the internet that you really, really dislike, you should share it with them as well. And what I want you to do, as I keep saying, is argue about this show in the comments section so that you can increase our engagement and you can own the libs, I guess. You can also do that by buying that new Trump cell phone that he just talked about releasing today, which I'm gonna side eye you really hard if you buy that phone.
It's a whole new Trump mobile.
I am gonna side eye you really hard if you buy that phone. They should, however, come automatically with unchangeable voice messages made by Trump with AI, where it's just your name but it's in Trump's voice. And
Love
then
that.
he just, and you don't have the option to change it.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah. So there you go.
Trump would love that idea.
I let the Trump sneakers go. If you bought the Trump sneakers, I was like,
Well, Tim bought the Trump sneakers and then skated in them.
That's fine. Look, he's got disposable income. Okay, if you don't have disposable income and you're buying Trump shoes and Trump phones, you have a problem. You do.
Yeah, I still think the vintage MAGA hats were better than the new ones.
There you go. There you go. So again, hit the like button in this video. So what are we getting into this video? What are we getting into today? Well, the vibe shift is gone. I'm sorry to say, but that vibe shift that everybody's been talking about for the last couple of years, that's the last year, or at least especially since the election was over, that vibe shift, it is gone. The celebrities spent the entire weekend protesting ICE and protesting No Kings and all sorts of protest. Mary has a theory that it's all Kim Kardashian's fault, but a lot of celebrities came out talking about how they don't want kings in this country. What they want is a party that will, use subterfuge and get rid of a political candidate midway through an election and not hold a primary and then run that person without actually getting any votes.
That's democracy.
That's our
democracy.
It's not a democracy. It's our democracy. So we're going to go over the various celebrities who are complaining about ICE, celebrities complaining about no kings, unless you were in Canada, in which it was no tyrants. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Justin Bieber. He is crashing out once again. So much so that I even found stuff that Mary didn't find on this one because he's having
It was a big weekend.
He's having
for
a mentee
Justin.
B. He's having a mentee Bieber.
He was busy.
A mentee Bieber. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about how your daughter's Barbie doll is going to be infected by AI in an attempt to take over the world because Mattel is teaming up with OpenAI to make sentient Barbie dolls. What could go wrong?
Are they just like trying to make horror movies like Megan
Yes,
into
they
a
are.
reality?
Well, that's I mean, like when they
Just
showed
for
the
the
picture.
meme?
I mean, if I was Mattel, that's what I would be doing right now. Like my tweet about this was the Barbie 2 movie is going to be lit. Like instead of getting Greta Gerwig, you get a horror director to come in.
Perfect.
And maybe you get Ryan Coogler to come in and make Barbie 2 Electric Boogaloo AI edition. So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, Mario, we can get started. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go ahead and get started then. It is the downfall of Will Smith, the continuing humiliation.
Yeah. Will Smith, at the big age of 56 years old, decided it was finally time for his comeback to music. He released a song over the weekend called Pretty Girls, and he's not the first person to name a pop song Pretty Girls. I, for one, quite enjoyed Britney Spears' Pretty Girls featuring Iggy Azalea several years ago.
Aya's Pretty Girls.
So many examples.
There's just so many good Pretty Girls songs.
And this is by far the worst one. So
it's very bad.
He also released a music video to go with it, where he is dancing around with a bunch of models who
age-appropriate models who
aren't that pretty, to be honest.
Probably had to use a little Ben Gay after filming this video. All parties involved. The studio probably smelled like Ben Gay.
Maybe this is his way of getting back at Jada Pinkett Smith after her entanglement.
Then he should have used like better-looking women.
He probably should have done a song with Tyla.
The thing about it is, we're gonna sacrifice any and all monetization on this video because if I have to listen to the song, then you have to listen to this song as well.
Well, you tune into the music video and you see Will Smith in a therapy session, telling this doctor about his problem, his addiction to pretty women.
Let's play it here.
That's the
First
scene.
of all, I'm going to call for a ban on those close-ups unless it's in a movie, and it better earn that close-up. Here we go.
It's been a problem ever since I was a little boy. Actually, I think it's gotten worse as I've gotten older. I thought I had it under control, but I'm literally experiencing it right now. Like literally this second.
Oh. And how would you define this problem? Can you make me understand?
That face was absolutely unhinged.
I hate it. It's literally worse than his feature in YouTube Rewind.
I like pretty girls. Girls, 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 girls. pretty girls. I like pretty girls.
Okay.
I do want to run into the theory. Though. Should we run into the theory before we disprove it about how it's better at 0.75 and also better at 1.25?
I would say it's better at 0.75 speed, but it also is better at 1.25. The superior version is 0.75 speed. Do you want to play it?
Let's see if we can actually try the 0.75 speed one first, and you guys can decide for us whether this improves this song or not.
Love pretty girls.
Let's
pretty girls.
Yeah, it's way better this way. I don't know why.
Who made this song?
I like pretty girls. I love pretty.
Okay, and then we have to try 1.25.
Okay, I got to go back here. 1.25. Will, we're doing your job for you here. This is a problem.
What are we, Zed?
Here well, we're not Dr. Luke, that's for sure. Okay, here we go. 1.25.
I like pretty girls.
This is a club classic.
I love pretty girls. I like pretty girls.
So yeah, both of them are way better.
Yeah, what the?
And then,
like, how do you get it so wrong that literally the you ended up like somebody mentioned before earlier about all the movies that he wasn't in, that he turned down. He is the reverse Jim Cramer.
So many lost opportunities. Yes. And then I want you to skip to about 2.5 minutes in to the cringiest part.
Okay, I'm gonna put it back to regular speed. What? How long?
2 minutes and 30 seconds,
okay.
I think.
2:30.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 2:27.
Ain't too many women ain't pretty to me. 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 As far as I can see.
What's that sweatshirt?
This is the...
Oh, it's not even a sweatshirt.
I like pretty girls.
Okay. That dance move for me was...
Okay.
That was the death of whatever he was trying to do.
Listen, okay, so here's the thing. I was trying to think of why it's so sad. So he came about, Big Willie style, I think was 1997. And he made music at a time where Eminem literally had to make a song joking about how he doesn't have to swear on his records, but Eminem does. He was effortlessly cool, despite the fact that he didn't actually pander to what made rap music popular at that time, which was vulgarity. Now, he's not doing that here either. He's not pandering. He made music about women, and look, the song Miami is still a banger. But the problem is that he is not in his 20s anymore. He's not even in his 30s anymore. He's not even in his early 40s anymore. He's on the harsher side of 50. He's 56 now, and you can't come back from the entanglement. You can't come back from the relationship humiliation. You can't come back from the YouTube rewind debacle.
That's hot.
You can't come back from Jaden Smith being a weirdo. You can't come back from it. Like you can in acting. He can still take a role in acting, do good work, and get lost in the character. I actually liked him in Suicide Squad. I thought he was fine as Deadshot. But you can't come back from the Chris Rock slap.
No,
you can't come back from any of this stuff.
Especially no coming back from Slapgate.
The buck has been broken, my friend, and this is as far as it goes.
Yeah,
and that's fine. But
yeah, your ride stops here.
Yeah.
And I agree. His pivot should have been starting to take more prestigious acting roles, but he turned a lot of them down. Here were some of the comments.
Wait, we have to watch this. We have to watch this one first.
Yeah. This is the movie magic behind it.
So no, here's the thing. He did there was a video similar to this made for Bad Boys, for the new Bad Boys movie, where it showed him with the gun, and he was like wearing the camera rig as he's doing it. That was cool. I don't know what this is.
Head, shoulders, knees, toes. Hold up, wait, pose.
I like it. I like how the guy's actually still like laughing in the background.
Yeah. Is he like trying to convince people a little too hard that he's straight? I don't know. One of the comments said, "The women look age appropriate. Music sounds on brand for him. I'm actually moving my shoulders too. LMAO, I'm not mad."
Okay, look, The music is like, to say this was a departure from his music would be wrong. This is right on brand for him. You're just 20 years too late.
Another one said he's so happy when Baldy's not around.
Yeah.
I wonder how Jada feels about this. You know, does she feel disrespected by this? I guess we'll find out years later on Red Table Talk.
This one says, Will Smith heard you guys accusing him of being a closeted gay man. Yeah. And then...
was Jada the beard all along?
Just
it remains an open question.
Will Smith has just recorded a new song, Western Culture, has hit rock bottom. Nowhere to go but up from here.
Like, it's not even degenerate or immoral.
No,
it's just embarrassing.
This is from Mark with the C, says, I could forgive the song itself, as brain dead as it is, if it were some dude in his late teens, early 20s doing it. But for a damn near 60-year-old married man, Will Smith, this is just sad. If I had Jada at home, I'd be hurting too. But damn, Will, ain't no one can come back from this.
I love how Jaden was saying, like, years down the line, there are going to be scientists studying him to find out what was psychologically wrong with him. The answer is right in front of our faces. It's his parents. His parents are the reason why Jaden is so weird.
He retreats to his room to read Dostoevsky so that he can get away from hearing the song Pretty Girls in the living room.
Jaden Smith is the target demographic for reprints of... what is it? The Art of War.
Yeah. Not how to make friends and influence people.
That too.
Yeah. Index Red says, at a certain age, we just have to get out of the game. Otherwise, disasters like this happen. And then perhaps worse than all of those is some account called Raptile Official says they unfortunately copied our song in concept from a video in 2013. Ironically enough, with Sean Kingston, who I think just got prosecuted for theft or something.
Yeah, he has something going on.
So there's the Will Smith one. You can tell us whether you think that these are the same.
It's a pretty generic idea. Sean Kingston's song is way better.
Well, yeah. Matching chorus idea and video concept are the same.
Yeah, they just ripped that straight from the history books.
Well,
and Sean Kingston's song was objectively better.
Because Will Smith is an eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Lava?
Yeah.
There was also this clip of Will Smith talking about why he did not take on a role in Christopher Nolan's Inception.
Yeah, he turned down a crap ton of movies.
He could have been in such a different place.
I don't know if you can confirm it that you turned down The Matrix to do Wild Wild West.
That was one of my beautiful scars.
Are there any other movie roles that you've, turned down or maybe, didn't do?
It hurts too bad.
You don't even want to revisit it.
It hurts too bad. I don't think I've ever even said it publicly before. And I'm going to say it now because we're opening up to one another.
Yeah.
Chris Nolan brought me Inception first, and I didn't get it.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of people probably don't get the Christopher Nolan scripts before they're actually made into movies.
That's never been said before.
I've never said that out loud.
It's an exclusive. Kiss Extra exclusive.
And now that I think about it, it's those movies that go into those alternate realities. They don't pitch well.
Yeah. So he wasn't saying I didn't get it. He's saying, like, I didn't get the concept of the movie.
Right. They didn't turn him down. They brought it to him, and he turned it down.
Here's a list of movies that I accumulated yesterday that he turned down. Inception, Rush Hour, The Matrix, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Django Unchained, Superman Returns, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He could have been Willy Wonka.
Yeah, he was in some other, like, Django Unchained knockoff movie, right?
Wasn't he in... Well, he was in the one that just came out, like, last year.
Emancipation in 2022, right.
Was he in Hateful Eight?
He talked about playing Whipped Peter and how he was in these fake chains on set, and it unlocked ancestral memories.
Yeah.
He could have done so much with his life, and
here's the thing, he did though.
Down the drain.
He did, like, for all those missed opportunities in movies, like, some of those couldn't have been saved. Okay, he wasn't going to save Superman Returns. I think he would have made Rush Hour infinitely worse. I don't think his sense of humor would have jived with Rush Hour the way that Chris Tucker's did.
Yeah. But we know it for how it is.
And he made Bad Boys. And The Matrix. Yeah, like, I don't think it...
and he would have been Neo, right?
He would have been Neo.
I'm glad that it wasn't him.
So there was a discussion the other day on X about the unproblematic celebrities, the ones with no haters, and it was the worst list I've ever seen because it said it was John Cena,
okay,
Jackie Chan.
He has plenty of haters.
Jackie Chan.
He has plenty of haters too.
Keanu Reeves.
I'm a hater.
and Steve Irwin. And I said, John Cena has plenty of haters. Jackie Chan, because of his relationship with his kids, definitely has some haters.
And China.
I said, I know one person who doesn't like who hates Keanu Reeves. I was talking about you.
Literally just me.
And and Steve Irwin is like the only one, but I assume there's people who just hate Australians on principle.
Well, there are people who say Steve Irwin had it coming because he was like messing with wildlife habitats. I don't know. But for the most part, Steve Irwin is seen as an unproblematic fave.
So look, Will Smith, just go back to taking the big movie roles. You'll be fine.
He has plenty of years left in him.
When you act, you're golden. You're good. Go back to acting and you'll be fine. No more YouTube. Like, stop. I get it. You got 10 million subscribers, but it's inauthentic. No more YouTube. Definitely no more red table talk.
No.
And just act and have a good time.
Maybe they will invite him back to the Oscars one day.
Maybe one day.
What was it, a 10-year ban?
10-year ban. I'm sure that'll get lifted.
They'll lift it if he's in a good movie.
He'll get lifted.
For sure.
What they'll do is they'll get Chris Rock they'll pay Chris Rock a boatload of money to co-sign him coming back, and they'll do some segment on it.
Yeah, they'll do a little skit together.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Ryan Coogler, famous for Black Panther and now the breakout vampire thriller success Sinners, recently gave an interview where he essentially said that female filmmakers are superior to male filmmakers and that they are infinitely more complex individuals than men. He's just outwardly saying men are inferior to women in every regard, but especially in filmmaking. He in this Far Out interview said...
It's the name of the publication.
Yes.
Mary wasn't suddenly getting like surfer lingo.
He opened up about many interesting conversations through the subject matter explored in the film Sinners, looking at the gentrification of Black culture and pain. He has also expressed his allegiance to female filmmakers and others who are marginalized in Hollywood, describing them as being naturally more suited to directing. It remains particularly difficult for women to break through as directors in Hollywood, and those challenges only multiply for women of color. While a few have managed to carve out a space for themselves, the industry is still dominated by men. Despite the constant messaging that things have improved, little has changed. Many marginalized voices are still fighting to have their stories heard, while mediocre male directors continue to be handed opportunities, offering little beyond ego-driven work that adds nothing to the creative landscape.
I noticed that he didn't mention, he didn't name names.
Yes, he didn't actually praise any individual female filmmaker, which I think defeats the purpose, but this is something that Ryan Coogler called attention towards in a recent interview promoting Sinners, saying, "I feel like women are better filmmakers than men. Put it on the record. I mean, it's true, bro. In film school, life, whatever, they're equipped to do this job in many ways better than us. They're infinitely more complex than we are, stronger and sharper. So, we're going to get better movies if we have more female filmmakers. The industry would improve. That's the best thing I could say about that. They've got to be given the opportunity."
Okay, so let's go through his statement. Are women infinitely more complex than men?
Honestly, I think women are simpler creatures to understand.
I mean, that isn't usually the way this is phrased in the world. It's usually phrased that men are more simple creatures, but that's usually in relation to relationships and not their job or their chosen profession.
He didn't even say they're better at filmmaking. He said in life, everything. They're better at everything.
I thought of some female filmmakers, like off the top of my head. Now, I'm not like, I like a lot of, there's a lot of great television directors that are female, but that tends to be a different it's a different beast. The idea of a television director is more like you're kind of a train conductor. Your job is to keep everything going on time and get everything from point A to point B. It's not the same thing as having a large-scale creative vision. It's one of the things that Chris Gore was talking about in a recent Film Threat segment, talking about why they keep hiring TV directors to do movies when a movie director needs to have more of a creative vision and a TV director just needs to get things done on time. But there's Greta Gerwig, there's Patty Jenkins, Sofia Coppola. Catherine Bigelow was a big one that I didn't even think about until you mentioned it. And then I remembered that she did Hurt Locker. She did K-19, The Widowmaker. She did Zero Dark 30.
She was
really,
named
really
as the female Stanley Kubrick.
Bryce Dallas Howard is another one who's getting a lot of credit as a director these days. But the thing is like if you ask somebody off the top of their head to name 5 great female directors or 5 great male directors, they're going to name 5 male directors. But the thing is like even then, he's not talking about, in at least the way that I interpreted this article, he's not talking about big budget movies. He's talking about pretentious art house stuff with a message.
And you can just look at Ryan Coogler,
the
photo
Wachowskis
of Ryan Coogler, and see the pretentiousness in his face.
But I want to read, just because I read it to you earlier, I want to read you this little bit from Catherine Bigelow's biography. Because first of all, I was looking into look, is this even true? Is it even true that women aren't getting the opportunities that they would in past? But Jessica Jones season 2 had all female directors. Russian Doll season 1 had all female directors. There was a show called Queen Sugar on Oprah's network, which had from 2016 to 2022, every season, every episode, all female directors. And Black Widow, Eternals, and Wonder Woman 1984, all since 2020. Now, Wonder Woman 1984 sucked, but Patty Jenkins did Wonder Woman. So that notwithstanding, the people aren't going to exactly say Chloe Zhao did great work on Eternals, or the lady who did Black Widow set the bar high. But to say that they're not getting opportunities is kind of silly.
Well, who was it that directed the Marvels?
That wasn't Ava DuVernay. I forget who it was.
It was
and they changed.
Wait, the director of Candyman.
Ava DuVernay.
Was it?
Yeah, I believe so. You can double check me on that. I could be wrong about that. But I was just curious if there was a list of initiatives that Hollywood...
Nia DaCosta.
Okay.
Prime example of a female director who was given an opportunity that was way too big for her britches simply because she's a female director and Marvel wanted to brag about that.
So these are just some of the initiatives that Hollywood runs to benefit females in Hollywood. The Directors Guild of America has a diversity initiative that runs ongoing inclusion programs, publishes regular reports on gender and race of directors on TV. A program called Reframe, which was founded by Women in Film and the Sundance Institute. The Women in Film Institute itself is a long-running nonprofit based in Los Angeles. The AFI Directing Workshop for Women, which is one of the oldest programs established all the way back in 1974. Film Independence Project Involve focuses on underrepresented filmmakers, including women, offering directing labs, fellowships, and production support. So there's all sorts of these programs, but when companies are going to put you in charge of something that's going to cost them hundreds of millions of dollars or even just dozens of millions of dollars on TV, there was a time when they were going to take that risk. These days, I don't see them to be as willing. They're going to be more likely to go to AI directing than they are picking people who aren't going to be able to do a job and cause problems for them.
Who do you think these mediocre male filmmakers are who are
that he's
getting
talking
undeserved
about? I have no
opportunities?
I would
that
be
wasn't what Ryan Coogler said. It's what the author of the piece mentioned. But they're saying mediocre male directors are continued to be handed opportunities, offering ego-driven work that adds nothing to the creative landscape. Who are those people?
Who are they? And back to what I was saying about like the directors we just mentioned before, and then you hear about someone like Catherine Bigelow who has directed all of these big budget movies, and you think about those programs that they were put through where they're diversity specific initiatives, and then this is what it says in Catherine Bigelow's biography. It says, she spent 2 years at San Francisco's Art Institute. At 20, she won a scholarship at the Whitney Museum's Independent Study Program. She was given a studio in a former off-track betting building, literally in an old bank vault, where she was told to make art and wait to be critiqued by people like Richard Serra, Susan Sontag, and others. So it's like, Do you want everything handed to you, like a Nia DaCosta, who has limited experience, or even a Chloe Zhao, who had limited American, big budget filmmaking experience, or the lady who's going to supposedly direct a Star Wars movie with nothing but directorial experience in documentaries? Or do you want to be the one where they said, go into this bank vault and make art? And then 20 years later, 30 years later, she has a list of credits that all stand the test of time.
That Ray movie is going to be directed by...
I forget that lady's name.
What was her name? Let me see. She she, of course, was on those panels.
Yes, she was on
talking about how...
the diversity panels.
She likes to make men uncomfortable. Yeah. Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy.
Yep.
She does not have experience directing films other than activist documentaries. Yep. And she was given a Star Wars movie. For no reason other than the fact that she is not only a woman, but a woman of color. Same situation with Nia DaCosta. And another ongoing problem is these people cannot seem to do what they claim to care about, uplifting women, without shitting on men. That's exactly what Ryan Coogler did in this interview.
In the framing of their storytelling is going to be something of a self-insert.
And I'm like, okay, give us your examples of the female filmmakers that you think are so praiseworthy, Ryan Coogler.
Who is the lady who made Girls? Lena Dunham.
Lena Dunham.
Okay, there's an example of a woman who made something that was pretty influential because it spoke to her life experience, or it spoke to something that she felt she understood and wanted to explore. Mm-hmm. Right? That's fine. And when you're talking about these types of movies, when he's talking about, Beau Travail, Portrait of a Lady, even the name is pretentious, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Okay, those types of movies will always thrive when you get diverse directors, I guess, but that's not what most people think of when they think of great directors. If you ask somebody to name 5 male directors, unless they're Kino Corner, they're gonna list George Lucas. They're gonna list directors like that. They're not going to
Christopher Nolan, Martin Scorsese, Kubrick.
Yes, they're not going to list necessarily the most artistic directors. Like Kubrick is up there.
Here's another one: Elizabeth Banks. She talked about having multiple movies bomb and still getting second, third, and fourth chances after Booksmart.
But she did make Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, but she before that had Booksmart and the Charlie's Angels reboot under her belt. Yep. So, yeah, I don't really think that they have to work under a double standard in Hollywood just because they're women. All of the evidence supports the opposite claim. And again, they cannot seem to uplift women without, in the same process, talking down on men. It's impossible for them.
I want them to make a movie called Portrait of a Lady on Fire. That's completely exactly what it sounds like. It's just a dude taking pictures of women he starts on fire. Yeah. It's just a serial killer who starts women on fire and takes pictures, and that's the whole movie.
I was really annoyed by Nicole Kidman's comments at Cannes Film Festival this year. Touting her history of working with other female directors and making a point out of that in her career. But the least I can say for her is the proof is in the pudding. She at least made the effort to make the difference that she wants to see in her industry. She said, "Invest in us and believe in us because our voices are so important. I'm happy to be here supporting women's voices in cinema. I'm an advocate and want to continue moving forward with my pledge. It ain't over." I had a conversation with Meryl Streep where we talked about how we actually want to do the work, which is be in films directed by women, because you can talk about it and you can say you support it, but you actually have to do it. So now at this point, Nicole Kidman has worked with a female director 27 times across film and television projects.
Booksmart was Olivia Wilde.
Oh, right.
Somebody correct. Thank you.
What was
chat.
it that Elizabeth Banks did before Charlie's Angels in 2019?
I don't remember which one when it was.
I think I was referring to Booksmart because after the failure of Booksmart, Olivia Wilde, another affirmative action female director, then went on to direct Don't Worry, Darling.
She did Pitch Perfect 2.
Elizabeth Banks, you mean? Okay.
Cocaine Bear is awesome though. That's
Loved Cocaine Bear.
So this is so fun. So this is the story for A Portrait of a Lady on Fire. On an isolated island at the end of the 18th century, a female painter is obliged to paint a wedding portrait of a young man. So, okay, make that movie all you want, but don't expect the person who made that movie to get hired to do Spider-Man.
Put it on Mubi.
There you go.
Mubi is the new streaming service
ads.
for pretentious art movies.
Yes.
I didn't realize that,
Mubi.
but that's the new one.
All right. Well, look, guys, it really was just intersectional, like, diversity slop, this whole article.
And I said Ryan Coogler is the spiritual successor to Jordan Peele.
But the thing
because
about,
of comments like this.
The thing about it is, though, is he's proof that when you're good at your job, it doesn't matter how pretentious you are, because he actually is good at his job.
Yeah, and,
So.
Props to him for that, but still, he's annoying.
All right, let's move on.
James Gunn is less than a month away from releasing his Superman movie starring David Corenswet, and the Snyderverse fans are furious and plotting ways to sabotage the success projected for this movie. It's projected to have an opening weekend of $140 million at the box office, and Snyder fans have come up with several ways to stop this from happening.
That's domestic, by the way.
Yes, domestically.
Supposedly 140 to 180 million dollars domestic. I'll believe the 180 when I see it. Over 100, sure, but we'll have to wait and see. When you do this job, you kind of get lost in the weeds of all the articles and all the headlines and everybody arguing back and forth. Whether that actually translates to normies going to see it, we'll have to wait and see. But the Snyder fans are not happy, and you're right.
Yeah.
They have ideas.
This was their game plan posted online. Stand up and fight for Snyderverse on July 11th. Fight for our Snyderverse on the Imposter Superman release day. Here's what you can do to make a difference. Number 1, post spoilers everywhere. People are less likely to see or enjoy the movie if it's already spoiled. 2, leave bad ratings on review sites. We know for sure that gun bots will post fake positive reviews, so we must let people know the truth and balance the bias out with realistic scores. Even though none of them are planning to watch it, so they don't know.
The lack of introspection in that
they're
comment
talking
is crazy work.
Fake positive reviews are just as worthless as fake negative reviews because none of you are planning to watch it. Number 3, this is the most insane one, and I don't even know if this is possible. Reserve tickets online, but don't complete the purchase. By selecting and reserving tickets, it gets taken out of the pool for a period of time, which means this has a chance of stopping gun bots from buying tickets. James Gunn fired the first shot and killed the Snyderverse, and here is our chance to take the fight back to him.
I think my favorite part is the passive-aggressive misspelling of his last name.
Yeah, just as
it's like when they say YT, white people.
Do they think every normie buying a ticket to see the new Superman movie is a gun bot? A lot of them don't even know who James Gunn is.
Well, no, that's the problem. You have to know who he is because he's making this advertising for this movie all about him.
I know,
that's one of the most
still.
annoying parts about the movie. He responded, though, to his credit. He says, "Lol, I think we'll survive. I'm not sure the 8 people that listen to that guy, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess it's a guy, are going to impact the course of events." I think he's underplaying how popular or how rabid the Snyderverse fans are, which are very, very rabid.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people where I enjoyed Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition, and I enjoyed Man of Steel. And I've never been shy about sharing that at a time when Marvel was making annoyingly not serious movies that kind of undercut themselves by never taking it seriously when there was moments that they could have. Everything had to be undercut by a joke. I kind of appreciated somebody being like unapologetically serious.
Earnest.
Not even earnest. Almost like earnest would be different. Earnest wouldn't be as serious. Earnest would be somewhere in the middle. But it took itself very seriously. Okay. And I've said that repeatedly. And then I said one nice thing about the upcoming Superman movie. And several people were like, It's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's going to fail. I was like, look, it may fail, but whatever. Like, you don't know that. And if it does, it's not because you had the right idea. It's because you just guessed because you hate it and got it right.
Well, these Snyder bots, I'll call them, they dedicate their lives to this stuff. They have entire platforms dedicated to this. And the irony of it all is I don't even think Zack Snyder feels some type of way about it. He actually worked with James Gunn on the costuming for this Superman.
Yeah, he said that they couldn't get it. He couldn't get the trunks. He said they tried to do the trunks in that one, but they couldn't get it to work.
But point being, if he felt that he was hard done by in all of this, he wouldn't have worked with James Gunn. So his fans are just completely misrepresenting his feelings about this.
He also responded. The director then elaborated on the topic in an interview with Rolling Stone. He said, "I don't mind it. I think it's good. I think you don't want everyone to root for you. And I have an actor who reads everything online. I won't say who it is, but he'll read this article and he'll know who it is. It's one of the top 5 in Superman, and this actor gets so upset over the things people say. I said, first of all, you realize that the trailer came out and the reaction was 97 to 98% positive. Well, I've been told that 98% of facts are made up on the spot. So statistics are made up on the spot. These people help us because you don't want everything to seem 100% positive." I was curious, like, who that would be. I asked ChatGPT, I said, based on the top 5 actors in Superman, their social media posts and interviews, who would be the most likely to...
And we know it's a guy.
So it's a guy. So it would either have been David Cornsweet.
David Cornsweet.
That's what ChatGPT said. They listed David Cornsweet. They didn't. So Nicholas Hoult remains mostly professional online. Nathan Fillion has an overwhelmingly positive, like pro-positivity social media message. Plus, he's an industry veteran. I refuse to believe that a dude who's been doing it as long as he has was like getting mad about things online. He'd have had a heart attack by now, okay? And Eddie Gathegi. So Eddie Gathegi is kind of new to movie. Okay, not new, but I think of him as a TV actor because I think of him as stuff. What was he? He was in House back in the day. He was in The Blacklist. But you know, maybe it's David Cornsweet. Maybe he's just not used to the attention. Plus, he was that hateable character in Twisters.
It's a little hypocritical though for James Gunn to be talking about an actor being obsessed with what people are saying online, because James Gunn is constantly in back and forth with people. That's why this became a headline in the first place, because he's always engaging with people who are hating on this. You don't need to get into scrappy fights with people online. Just let the movie speak for itself. He also said, "It's all right to have an opposing force every once in a while. Some of the things get ridiculous. I just know that every time something comes out, it doesn't matter how positively received. There's going to be something that is of great controversy. It was great controversy that the sun caused Superman pain." So he's saying this is actually working in our favor.
Yeah, they were. There was the scene in the trailer where they beam the sun directly into him, and it's like when your bones heal, and he's screaming in pain because his body is healing itself, and people are like, "Why is it doing that? He gets power from the sun." Like, people just argue. People were making a big deal about the new trailer where Superman knocks someone's teeth out. They're like, Superman wouldn't do that. I have a soft spot for those types of arguments because it's much like the arguments that would happen at a comic shop back in the day where they would compare and contrast characters' powers and stuff like that. So I just can't get I can't get it out of my mind that there's people that would go out and like put tickets in a cart and not buy them.
I don't think that even works. Unless you purchase the tickets, they're not considered reserved on the website unless they're planning to just make the websites overwhelm with traffic.
Well, no, maybe what it is like it takes it out of there until the website refreshes or something like that.
But now there's this whole like guerrilla marketing strategy for all of these movies where they're claiming that the ticket sites are crashing because it's so popular.
Yeah, I had that here as well. Yeah, Fandango,
I'm not buying it.
Let me see. Where did I have it here? Yeah. According to Fandango, the early access screenings have broken records, becoming the ticketing platform's top first-day advance ticket seller of 2025. That should involve actual numbers that could actually be analyzed. It's not the same thing as saying, like, they all hire the same web server who doesn't know how to keep a website running. Like, maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're all just cheap.
Superman is going to get DDoS attacked.
Yes, that's
on the day of release.
Exactly what it is. So the pre-sales have been good for the movie. Depending on who I ask, I could get two completely different takes on this. I said the other day, the hype. I felt like I asked the question, where does Jurassic World sit in this mess? Because the last 3 Jurassic World movies, all the ones with Chris Pratt, made over $1 billion.
And there's another competitor as well, right?
So it's Jurassic World on the 2nd, then Superman on the 11th, and then Fantastic Four on the 25th. But I said it felt like all the hype was going back and forth between Fantastic Four and Superman, and where is Jurassic World going to fall into us? But JB Spooky Reviews said he doesn't see any hype around Superman. So maybe it's just where you are, maybe wherever you are on the internet is like where you're going to you're kind of fed into the algorithm. So you could be tricked into thinking that a movie, look, remember, they re-released Morbius. They re-released Morbius. So I don't know. It would be amazing to see all 3 of those movies do well, because if I had to take a bet on something, I'd bet on Jurassic World, just because a lot of times a movie's ability to do well depends on whether its predecessor did well. And while it's not a direct sequel, the name Jurassic World has made $1 billion several times, albeit under a different actor. But one of the reasons Marvel movies don't do as well these days is because they have a bunch of failures leading up to it. So who's going to go see Thunderbolts if Captain America 4 didn't actually do that well and nobody cared? Who's going to go see Fantastic Four, theoretically, if Thunderbolts did crappy and Captain America did crappy? And I need not get into all of the failures of the DC universe that are not technically canon to these films, but you kind of train people to not want to go see your movies when the last big movie you released was like Aquaman.
Well, wasn't it like Blue Beetle, their last
so
release?
The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman all did crappy. The second Aquaman,
Blue
not
Beetle
the first one.
being the most recent.
I believe so.
Yeah. Awful.
Or was it after?
I think it was.
Was it after
the
Flash? Either way, all 3 of those movies didn't do the money they needed to, so they have a lot riding on this movie. But we'll have to wait and see. I want to see the Superman movie do well, and then for the sequel, I want James Gunn to not make the marketing about him. I want him to make it about David Cornsweet, so that they can prove that they actually have faith that the actor can do it. They did this great promo for Entertainment Weekly where it shows Lois Lane in a phone booth, and then Clark Kent is in the phone booth, and there was like more chemistry between those two in like 8 seconds than I ever got between Henry Cavill and Amy Adams in Man of Steel and Batman vs. I literally just rewatched Batman vs. Superman the whole time, and I'm just like, would she actually save him? Like, do they actually even like each other? I don't know. do they? I don't know.
Who was it that Jason Momoa did chemistry tests with and it failed?
Oh, I don't know.
Or was it Amber Heard?
He was with Amber Heard
before they chose Amber Heard, maybe. But
so,
yeah, they had zero chemistry.
People in the chat are saying Cornsweet can't be a real name. It's a real name. That's his actual name.
It just sounds like corn sweat.
Yes, Corin.
It's an unfortunate
Black Adam.
Name.
Black Adam too.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Look, here's the thing.
Another flop.
Blue Beetle was the only one that I really didn't care for. Black Adam was.
It was
fine.
awful.
I love the slop.
Maybe I'm just biased because I'm not into slop.
I'm the slop. I was like, they gave
he
Sarah.
was hyping it up so much.
Like, my hope was that Sarah Shahi got a huge paycheck out of it because I love her as an actress. I liked The Flash way more than a lot of people did. I was like, if it wasn't for all of the chairs thrown and the women abuse, I'd give this movie a higher rating, but I can't in good conscience do that.
Separate art from the artist.
But I thought that Ezra Miller did fine as The Flash, and I thought they did a good job with the emotional beats of that movie. I just didn't like Blue Beetle. That was the only one I didn't like.
Well, and the messaging
in the new Aquaman,
messaging in Blue Beetle with the when this will come up later, the ice raid scene.
Batman is a fascist.
It's just OD.
And I thought that Aquaman 2 was slop as well, but slop.
Also bogged down with all of the Amber Heard press at the time.
Yeah.
And
they can't catch a break.
The Rock
was
was trying to sell Black Adam on merely his personality, and he realized that was a losing strategy.
We're going to find, with the way DC has been going, we're going to find out that David Cornsweet has, an illegal immigrant locked in his basement right before the movie comes out. It's going to break right before the movie comes out.
They weren't even seeking asylum. He just locked them in his basement.
I hope not. So, all right. What would you guys like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see cringe first. It relates to our lead topic today. All right. It's at one of these anti-ICE protests.
Yeah,
and
here it is. First of all, widescreen on Instagram.
It happens.
Also, fun fact: if you like put up a clip on Instagram, I don't know if this works for everything, but I've had like songs muted because I edit it in a native program and then put it into Instagram rather than pulling it from Instagram, and it mutes the song because you don't have permission to use it. Apparently, that will work on It will work on your phone to mute it, but I could still listen to it on desktop.
Interesting.
Yeah. Here we go.
Carissa, you gotta run out.
That is the most exercise this person has got in so long.
I know.
No, please don't kill me. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I'm a person.
Wait, you're taking your mask off. You're going to kill him if you're not careful.
I'm a fucking person. Don't fucking kill me. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Don't fucking kill me.
The comment just says chunky anti-ICE protester in New Jersey.
Bro literally just like lifted his toe off of the brake.
The best part would be like this person realizes afterwards that they haven't had actual adrenaline in like 10 years that wasn't from Adderall. And so they're going to start working out and become just beast mode.
Well, that's actually, kind of what engendered the Summer of Love 1.0, because people were going into it for adrenaline junkie purposes. People were locked in their homes. They didn't have work anymore.
Let's do cute of the day. All right. This one's from Barry. I'm not reading that username. Unless Mick Dickinsider is a name.
Oh, great.
Dean is reading my book. Is the name of the book Dickinsider's Revenge?
Dean is cute.
Dean is very cute. I mean, Dean doesn't look like he's reading. Dean looks like he's looking past the book.
Yeah.
But this is what we do whenever we want to pretend that Mocha's not dumb. Like, because Mocha just stares at nothing. I'm like, he's reading the text on the dryer.
He had to pause to think about it,
Yes.
He's deep in thought in the photo.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. It's time to talk about the virtue signalers.
For the past year, Trump surrogates have been touting this line that we have gone through a cultural vibe shift, and Trump's re-election victory is the ultimate proof of that. And the moment when we all realized, including Hollywood, that celebrities' political opinions don't matter anymore, and they're going to step back from taking center stage as activists instead of entertainers. And I thought, naively, that we had seen the end of it last week when Kim Kardashian posted on her Instagram story against the ICE raids and basically in support of the protests against ICE in LA. And I was sorely mistaken, because I think she just opened the floodgates and gave all the rest of the celebrity class permission to start posting about this incessantly, starting with Sabrina Carpenter, who posted on her Instagram story urging fans to donate to the National Immigration Law Center, saying, please join me in supporting the National Immigration Law Center, with a link for her fans to donate. And then Jenna Ortega added her 2 cents, saying in this extremely emotionally overwrought essay, the world is crying all over. People in Los Angeles are being torn away from their everyday lives and love, the ones they've built so tirelessly over the years, just like you. Innocent civilians in Iran are caught in the middle of warfare. Palestinian cries are still being buried in everyday media. My thoughts are heavy. My heart follows. It is normal to feel confused and hopeless during this time, but I strongly advise you to never stop paying attention. How can we care about anything else as human freedoms spanning across seas are being violated with such violence? Listen to one another and love, but be angry too. Educate yourself as best as you can. To say this doesn't concern you or that it isn't your problem is a privilege under abuse. So she's not just telling people to stay up to date on the facts, but to feel angry and continue spiraling emotionally down the news cycle headlines. I think that that's actually encouraging people to just fully have a mental break from reality, I think that is fairly obvious. Olivia Rodrigo joined in.
Am I supposed to do this in between episodes of Wednesday season 2 or what?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned with what's coming from Jenna Ortega aside from the entertainment. Olivia Rodrigo posted again on her Instagram, "I've lived in LA my whole life and I'm deeply upset about these violent deportations of my neighbors under the current administration. I guarantee you none of Olivia Rodrigo's actual neighbors are being deported."
I mean, that's not necessarily true. The people who clean the pools could be.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Maybe the people who clean
nanny.
her pools
Yeah.
or clean her toilets
Don't
or,
remember,
cook her
guys,
food.
What they want is an undocumented slave class
Yes.
that exists here to help rich people like her while driving down wages for everyday people like the ones that listen to her music or go see Jenna Ortega's movies or watch Sabrina Carpenter simulate sex on
It's just
stage.
that infamous Kelly Osbourne clip saying,
Who will clean your toilets?"
toilets, Donald Trump? You didn't do what you thought you did. LA simply wouldn't exist without immigrants. Treating hardworking community members with such little respect, empathy, and due process is awful. Again, these people are not entitled to due process. They're not citizens. I stand with the beautiful, diverse community of Los Angeles and with immigrants all across America. I stand for our right to freedom of speech and freedom to protest. And then she links to
I agree with you
know your
on,
rights.
on that one. I do agree that you have a right to protest.
You have a right to protest. You do not have a right to fling Molotov cocktails at police vans.
I've been told reliably that that's not happening.
To shut down highways.
Throw bricks off of highways.
To throw
yes.
bricks down onto overpasses. And we could go down the list and start fires. It's not the right to protest when you are assaulting people.
I've had thoughts about this a lot because empathy is a good thing. But one of the things that kind of has become clear to me over the years is that empathy for certain people seems to only exist in the grand scale. So they have empathy for large swaths of people that won't actually impact their lives at all, when empathy is better suited to be applied to real people in your everyday lives. That's why they use the example of your friends and neighbors, even if it's a rich celebrity who lives in a gated community, right? And that's not to say that you can't have empathy for large groups of people, but to allow it to cause you to spiral when it isn't somebody that has actually come into your life as an individual. It's one of the reasons why I've gotten into it with people, or at least discussing. I'm like, look, when they go into the neighborhoods, I expect the pushback from the neighbors, because that is the idea of directional empathy, local empathy, people that you actually encounter in your everyday life. You don't think of them as a statistic. You don't think of them as a demographic. You think of them as a neighbor, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, whatever. I get that. But that's not how government officials are allowed. They can't think that way unless they're going to use it for political ends. And in this case, it doesn't benefit a CEO, it doesn't benefit a president, and it doesn't benefit America to act with a certain level of empathy if the empathy in question hurts the actual Americans that were born here or came here through legal means, which is why they conflate the idea of legal immigration and illegal immigration. That's why they never actually add the qualifier in front of it. So empathy is weaponized by all parties for the most part, but right now this is a specific example of that type of targeted suicidal empathy. That notice that most of this is white Western women in a lot of cases. And I get it. I understand. I still think you're wrong.
Well, on the contrary, I actually don't think it's possible to empathize with a group of people or love a group of people because they're not humanized. And this is why Hollywood places such an intense emphasis on needing to tell the stories of marginalized people, because until you make it into an individual story, nobody can actually relate to it. So honestly, I don't know what it is, but this is not empathy. It's probably, my best guess, displaced maternal instincts that are projected onto vast swaths of the population from young women who have not fulfilled their true desires. Another one is Addison Rae. She posted on her Instagram, I'm so disappointed and disturbed by what is happening across our nation. This country could not exist without immigrants.
There's that conflation again. Of course.
Every human being deserves the right to exist in an environment that makes them feel safe, lovingly protected, and embraced. This link provides ways you can stay up to date and get involved. This is just the black square all over again. Don't get it twisted. The same exact psychology used to pressure people into posting the black square back in 2020 is what is behind all of these celebrities posting about the ICE protests. It's the same thing, because I saw their comment sections getting overrun with their own fans telling them, if you don't use your platform to speak out against this, you're just a trademark bad person. So none of them are actually posting about this, I presume, because they feel strongly about it. They just want to get the haters off their back.
They're also closeted American supremacists, because they would never hold another country to this same standard. They would never expect to go into Mexico and be able to overstay a work visa and live there and protest there and do whatever they want and not be reprimanded and removed by the government. They actually do quietly believe that America is better than the rest of the world, but they have to cloak it in self-hatred lest they be turned on by Marxist lunatics.
And it doesn't stop at merely celebrities posting on their phones from their bedrooms. The celebrities also hit the streets over the weekend, including Gracie Abrams, Nepo daughter of J.J. Abrams and Katie McGrath. She joined her mom at an anti-ICE protest, and they posted a selfie together with this sign saying, "If you're neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor." And they're smiling smugly at the camera because they know they are more virtuous than us. Yes. Jack Black also joined the No Kings protest over the weekend. You can see him in this video. Just what are you doing, bro? Is he wearing noise-canceling headphones?
Yes. Well, he's wearing...
in case of tear gas or something.
I'm glad he's walking.
Yeah, he needs the exercise.
Well, bro did just almost make $1 billion with Minecraft. He's got the time.
Yeah. And he was the one calling for, empathy and civility back when his bandmate last year called for an assassination attempt against Trump. And he was like, whoa, cool it with the anti-Trump remarks, bro. Like, we don't want to be prosecuted for that. Other celebrities included Mark Ruffalo, Jimmy Kimmel, Kerry Washington stepping out at the No Kings protests nationwide. I saw some in Charlestown over the weekend, which were quite pitiful to look at. But there were also the counter protests against the military parade.
Hasn't Trump also like walked it back when it comes to service industries and farming anyways?
That came up on IRL last week. Yeah. He said something in a segment on Fox News to a journalist about suggesting that we need common sense about the illegal immigrants who work in, on farms or plants. I think he was suggesting that amnesty is possible for them, which is just going to cause more of them to come to the border. But then he walked it back again on Truth Social.
Yeah, he's not batting 1,000.
He's flip-flopping.
He's definitely not batting 1,000 with his most faithful right now.
But if anything, that just proves that he's not the boogeyman all of these celebrities think he is. Shakira also spoke out about the culture of fear that the Trump administration is spreading with their aggressive immigration policies. Having been born in Colombia, she spoke in an interview with BBC News about how the U.S. has changed since she moved as a teenager to expand her music career. "I was only 19 when I moved to the U.S., like many other Colombian immigrants who come to this country looking for a better future." She said according to her, living in the U.S. means living in constant fear, and it's painful to see. Now more than ever, we have to remain united Now more than ever, we have to raise our voices and make it very clear that a country can change its immigration policies, but the treatment of all people must always be humane.
See, this is a trap.
This is insane. She also, they mentioned her Grammys acceptance speech. To all my immigrant brothers and sisters in this country, you are loved, you are worth it, and I will always fight with you.
Yeah.
I think I gave a little Shakira impression on IRL back when that happened at the Grammys.
Yeah.
Just, it's a clown show. And, you know, I think this proves that the Trump supporters talking about the cultural vibe shift were wrong. There might have been a short-lived one when even Trump's supporters were excited, but now their hype has died down. Celebrities feel emboldened and mobilized once again.
Maybe if Shakira had paid her taxes, they would have been able to figure out a better immigration policy. But since she didn't, I have to support her. I guess she's right.
It's worth pointing out that celebrities did not tip the scales in the election. But that's not to say they don't feel they have a responsibility or a privilege to speak out on politics anymore. They still very much believe it's their place to tell the common folk how to feel about these political issues, ones that don't affect them in their everyday lives. That has not changed a bit since 2024.
Yeah.
They very much feel they are still in their ivory towers, you know, the same way during COVID that they recorded themselves in their mansions telling everyone to stay home and save lives. That same mindset has not dissipated even an iota since 2020. It still is completely, they are still in the fog of their own delusion and their own ego.
Just remember that the people who hold these beliefs, they tend to be upper, not just upper middle class, but upper class, white Western celebrities a lot of the time. The Shakiras, the Jenna Ortegas. That's going to become more prevalent though. The, you know, ones from other parts of the world, because as they come here to work, they're going to bring their beliefs with them, and that's going to be used to try and sway the minds of young fans. And, you know, there's nothing you can do about that except for, you know, if your kids listen to their music or watch their movies, maybe, you know, have a conversation with them about what the actual repercussions are for these types of things, or what someone like an Abrego Garcia actually did while they were here in America, allegedly, you know, human trafficking and making millions of dollars doing it.
We have a 20 from Value in You. Mary, we had shared it was fab. Shakira, anyone?
Can you do the Shakira?
A Shakira impression? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like when I first did that Shakira impression, it wasn't actually a Shakira impression. I was just like doing the same annoying celebrity nasal voice that I always do when they say annoying things. Brett, if you had to guess, do you think that these celebrities, especially the younger ones, the pop stars especially, are they speaking out, thank you, out of fear of backlash if they don't? Or are they speaking out because this is something they genuinely believe in? Or is it both?
Hold, please.
Thank you, guys.
Hold, please. You could ask me that question on 2 different days and I could give you 2 different answers. On any given day, I would like to believe that, you know what, they're just getting their bag and they're just saying what they have to do to keep the stands off their backs. On other days, I'm like, look, they were raised here. This is a very common idea now. Like, we've talked endlessly on IRL about the idea of like the default Democrat, the default liberal that most people are kind of raised to be. And it gets even more leftist as you go gender wide, you know, if you go towards women. So and not to mention they're in the arts, they're in entertainment. And a lot of the times they're kind of emotional, empathetic people. And that's how they access what they feel and put it into their art.
For some, especially the actors.
Yes.
I believe that argument. But I feel like ever since I downloaded TikTok again, my eyes have been opened. Like there's this new trend that I saw over the weekend. They're using Sabrina Carpenter's Man-Child song as the audio where she goes, stupid, or is it slow? And they're saying they came here illegally. Girl, you do coke and shoplift. They're just pointing out petty crimes that American citizens commit and how it's hypocritical of them to point out the crimes committed by illegal immigrants, which obviously falls on its face as soon as you actually engage with the argument. It's not an argument, it's a shaming tactic. But this is how I believe most of their followers feel. I think for someone like a Sabrina Carpenter, a Jenna Ortega, and Olivia Rodrigo, a Gracie Abrams, and Addison Rae, they themselves don't actually feel that strongly about these issues. They're just like, post the black square and move on. You have to post the link for funding. You post the fundraising link, say the thing, say the line that you need to say, and hopefully no one is going to bash you for staying silent and not using your platform responsibly. It's probably something they were directed to do by managers.
I would believe that maybe, but I mean, didn't Olivia Rodrigo go like above and beyond Plan B at her concerts and stuff like that? Like, that's
an issue that I think she probably feels strongly about because she's
okay. So you think on the topic of this issue, young woman? You think on the topic of this issue specifically? You know what? No, I don't know if I necessarily believe it. I think that if they engage with the argument, with the concept at face value, that they're young, privileged Western women, and they probably feel an immense level of like shame and guilt for what they've been born into, and this alleviates that for the moment, for the time being. Whether that means they actually believe it or not, I don't know. But I think that we've seen enough people be shamed and hated just for being born here and looking a certain way that I could 100% believe that women especially would fall victim to that type of shaming.
You know who hasn't?
Buy into it.
You know who hasn't posted anything?
Who hasn't?
Tate McRae. At least I could be speaking too soon, but Tate McRae has not posted anything.
Morgan
about
Wallen
the ICE
hit her
protest.
up. He's like, nah, don't do it.
Yeah, that's why they're calling her Tate McRacist.
It's pretty clever, actually.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. The Austin protest was just chuggy boomers, college kids, and a chick dressed like a phallus. Timcast News shared my video. Lighter note, the Selena Gomez Oreos slap. 10 out of 10.
I almost bought you some the other day, and then I saw the price tag, and I was like, what do I look like? I'm made of money?
I walked past the Selena Gomez Oreos over the weekend, and it wasn't the price tag. I was just like, I'm not about to have a family-sized package of cookies in my house.
You're like, couldn't you give me like a small
Can I just, I just want to try it, just one cookie. I don't need 25 of them. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to pass on the Selena Gomez Oreos, but they did sound really good. I didn't know boomers could be chuggy though. I thought that was a millennial trait. Please describe that for me.
One of the explanations that I saw, they said that boomers grew up without technology, so they haven't learned how to interact with the news in a proactive way. They just know how to be fed what they kind of already believe, and they don't know how to go looking for anything else.
They grew up trusting institutions.
Yeah. So
they also are easily victimized by AI scams on Facebook because their brains just aren't wired the same way.
They are not.
AI Shih Tzu said, "Bad news, guys. The vanity plate hard R was disallowed. USPCC similarly was not available. Gongo the same. Had to use Barako, which is Tagalog for studly/macho for my new Ninja."
As in a bike? Okay.
I'm surprised that USPCC was taken. Who else is
I took it.
Driving around with the USPCC vanity plate?
Amazing.
Shout out to that person.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Thanks, Mary. I'm dead now. LMFAO."
It was good.
You're welcome.
That Cher impression was very good.
That spiritually healed all of us.
I think so too. All right, let's move on.
It was a busy weekend for Justin Bieber as he got in yet another heated confrontation with paparazzi outside of a nightclub in Malibu, California. TMZ reported on this and they got the video. He is yelling at the paparazzi for flashing photos of him while he's about to get into his car. And he decided, not today, Satan. I'm going to get into a verbal altercation. He's not going to let this one go. He's going to stand on business. And it's just
I
the
know
way
this
that
is true
he's
because
talking.
Mary has been talking about standing on business all day now.
This is another one of my verbal tics today.
Yes.
When he says, you're not getting it. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
Let's listen to this clip.
I'm a dad, I'm a husband. You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you.
It's not clocking to
It's
you.
not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
We're on the sidewalk,
I don't give a f- if you're on the sidewalk. I'm a human being. You're standing around my car. At the beach. You know what I'm saying? You don't think I'm a real f***ing guy, dude.
If he was at an office park, it would be okay, but he's at the beach.
You're gonna take this video out of context. You're gonna say I'm mad. I don't know who the f paying you to provoke me, but I'm not the f***ing one. Okay? Stop provoking me. I'm a real dad, a real husband, a real man.
All right,
so don't f***ing do this to me.
Is the idea here that if he was like single without kids, it would be okay?
He's not with his wife or his kid,
Okay?
so I don't know
I'm
what
not to be
that
f***ed with.
means.
I don't know who's paying you to f*** with me or provoke me, but I'm not the one. I don't care that you're on the sidewalk. I don't care what kind of dirty work, what kind of nasty you're getting paid in the background to provoke me, bro, but I'm not the f***ing one. I'm really not the one. I don't care that you're on the sidewalk, bro. Clearly you're here for an alternate agenda. Why would you want to be here to provoke me like this? This isn't love.
You're not provoking, Josh.
This isn't love, bro. This is weird, bro. Y'all are on some real weird shit. Literally.
All right, have a good night, Jason.
Okay, then go, then have a good night somewhere else, man, for real.
All right,
Because I'm not going to stand around here and let this happen. No f***ing sir. No way. No how.
All right, cool.
This is the beach.
You guys
People
have
get
that
to be
room,
at
too.
the beach.
So
They do.
this is a little Mexican standoff. It's like, who's gonna leave first? He wants to stand there until he forces the paparazzi to leave by just sheer power of his aura.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's like, look, you know what I miss? If this was a TV show in the 2000s, the guy's like, it's a free country. I can stand here if I want.
So what's really fascinating about the clip, aside from, you know, the clocking to you bit that I loved, is him implying that the paparazzi are there because they're being paid to provoke him by some shadowy agenda. We cannot be certain whether or not there is a blackout media campaign against Justin Bieber to portray him as crazy in the media, but many people have floated that theory in recent months. And some people think it's Scooter Braun. Others will pin it on relative business managers that he has broken contact with. And I would say, regardless of whether that's the case, Justin Bieber believes the theory. And he must know more about the situation than we do. And he is not doing himself any favors. Whatever that shadowy figure is doing behind the scenes, paying paparazzi to follow him and provoke him, whatever they're doing is working. Because now at this point, the general public seeing this thinks, wow, Justin Bieber is crazy. It's working. That PR campaign to make him seem crazy, if there really is one behind the scenes, you know, operated by Scooter Braun or whoever, it's working.
So the comments in the chat seem to be pretty split on like, look, I don't like Justin Bieber, but are we really standing up for the paparazzi here? I think it's more of a pragmatic approach to this is the industry they are all involved in, and it's kind of par for the course when you're a certain level of celebrity that this stuff is going to happen. Is it kind of gross and disgusting? Yeah. It is, but it's the reality they live in, and the best thing that Justin could do would be to work on maybe some mental exercises on how to leave those situations without, and you know, like engaging with them, as much as that sucks. That he would have to do that, but it's the only way forward, because otherwise you're just going to keep getting clipped in situations like this. And we're trying to allow the context here by playing the whole thing with what he said, which is like, you're going to clip me, take me out of context. I'm sure that he was provoked. Absolutely.
Yeah, there
100%.
are also longer clips in the TMZ article if you want to go pursue the full context, but we don't have time to go through them right now. And no one here is claiming that paparazzi are moral paragons of our society. One of the arguments for the idea that someone is paying paparazzi to provoke him into anger is that there's no logical explanation for paparazzi in this digital age. Everyone has a smartphone. If they see Justin Bieber out in public, they're obviously going to snap photos and videos of him. So why is it that hordes of paparazzi would be waiting for him outside his house, waiting for him everywhere he goes, outside of coffee shops, etc.? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense because there are still a lot of other A-list celebrities that on Justin's level and more famous that are not receiving the same attention from paparazzi.
Yes,
but it's also
right now
it's in a negative feedback loop where they're hoping things like this will happen.
But it's connected to his posts on social media and the way he's behaving. So if you go, who's another celebrity in like his range? Like who's somebody that you think of that's kind of similar to him that's unproblematic or not really getting talked about a lot?
I mean, you could say think Selena Gomez.
Think about any celebrity, right? If they're not posting a bunch of stuff on social media that indicates to them that they might be vulnerable right now, then they're not going to give them the time of day. Yeah. So he makes it worse when his social media posts make him out to be a little bit uneven, to make him out to be a little bit off his rocker right now. Whether it's true or not the point. The point is they smell blood in the water. And then he goes out, and then like you said, it's a negative feedback loop, and it's just a circle. It's just you go over and over again through the same paradigm. The best thing he could do, and it would take some work, I'm sure, would be to kind of, think before you text, think before you post, set your phone down, lock it for a bit, and get enough time, go out and about enough times without engaging in them and giving them any fodder.
Right.
And hopefully then the cycle breaks. But I don't know if that's possible right now.
We have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Bear Poking 101 is the first course that you take when you go to Paparazzi University. A lot of paps out there that look at celebrities as prey.
Yep.
I agree with that. I don't want to be in the position where I am defending paparazzi on this show, but it cannot be denied Justin Bieber is not doing himself any favors with his conduct in real life or his conduct on social media. He certainly needs to err on the side of silence at this point. And one of the recent controversies about his social media behavior is on Mother's Day, when he, instead of posting about his wife, the mother of his new baby, said, "Mother's Day sucks ass." And as a retaliation, it appears his wife Haley posted jokingly, "Father's Day sucks ass" over the weekend on his post on Instagram. And he also posted a caption saying, "I'm a dad that's not to be effed with." Full Papa Bear mode.
Again, you're not helping your case. Like, you're not.
And then on top of that, there was a headline in Complex where he's holding his new baby, Jack Blues Bieber. They made a typo in the headline saying Jack Blue Bieber instead of Blues. And he commented saying, "It's Jack Blues, middle finger emoji." That at that point, that headline isn't even negative. Nope. It was just a Father's Day post that was actually positive for you. They made an innocent typo, and he made this antagonistic comment. He cannot seem to act normal.
This says the original, this is like the context because it says Jack Blues in the post.
Right.
They edited
it after he issued the correction, but there was never a need to comment on it in the first place.
So, the top comment says, "So his child's last name is an emoji?"
It's Jack Blues Bieber middle finger emoji on the birth certificate. Yeah. I mean, that's the future. He also posted an essay on his Instagram at the same time saying he has anger issues, so he is admitting that. "People keep telling me to heal. Don't you think if I could have fixed myself, I would have already? I know I'm broken. I know I have anger issues. I tried to do the work my whole life to be like the people who told me I needed to be fixed like them. And it just keeps making me more tired and more angry. The harder I try to grow, the more focused on myself I am. Jesus is the only person who keeps me wanting to make my life about others, because honestly, I'm exhausted with thinking about myself lately. Aren't you?" I see where he's coming from, because people are saying all of these fake solutions, like, you need to go to therapy, you need medication, you need this, you need that. The best thing for him, though, would be to stop disclosing
Stop
his
being
private
so public
feelings
about everything. Yeah.
Stop yourself from giving in and indulging that draw to self-disclosure, which is incentivized on social media, not just for celebrities, but for ordinary people as well.
Yeah, a lot of people, they use every aspect of social media as a form of a diary. And the problem is when you write in a diary, the only person who gets to read back and reflect on what you wrote is yourself. But when you put it out into the world, I think there's still this naive belief that you're going to get nothing but the responses you hope for. And that's not the way the world works, especially not when you're somebody of his level of fame.
Yeah. And he aired more dirty laundry over the weekend, sharing screenshots of a text conversation between himself and now, I suppose, an ex-friend in their falling out over text. He said to them, "I will never suppress my emotions for someone. Conflict is a part of relationship. If you don't like my anger, you don't like me. My anger is a response to pain I've been through. Asking a traumatized person not to be traumatized is simply mean." This friend of his said, "I'm not used to someone lashing out at me. It's not that I don't see and feel your anger." He said, "Ouch, this friendship is officially over. I will never accept a man calling my anger lashing out. I enjoyed our short-lived relationship. I wasn't kidding when I told you I didn't need you as a friend. I have good friends who respect these boundaries."
It actually seems like he's the one with the boundary issues.
Right. This person is saying, when you respond to me with anger, I am not going to respond. And he's not able to accept that as their response. And then he further went on to say, "I thought you were a beep,"
Yes.
a cat emoji, "which is why I always kept my distance, but I was willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. This confirms you were the beep I always thought you were. Middle finger emoji. Please leave me alone now." And they said, "I'm a beep?" And he said, "Blocking you now." I don't know why on earth you would share such a conversation
Especially
with your
one
entire following on social media.
Like, unless there's some, like, a drastic amount of context that's missing from that, he shared something that makes him look bad.
It makes him look absolutely unhinged.
Yes.
And of course, we don't know the context. For all we know, this is some kind of Harley Pasternak handler
And
behind
that guy
the scenes
deserves
who
it.
deserves it.
But we don't know that, and that's the
Yeah.
problem. The problem is that he shared it without us knowing what type of person this guy is,
Yeah.
and it doesn't make anyone look bad but him.
And the reason why it's concerning is because there appears to be this sort of schizophrenic mentality in the way that he presents himself to his followers. He thinks that we know the context. It's weird. You know, I always point out, we use the same internet as unmedicated schizophrenic people. And you can tell when you've encountered one of them, because they think when they post something cryptic that you know the context.
Yeah.
And there's a whole story behind it, and they think you're clued into it. I'm not saying Justin Bieber is schizophrenic. I'm just saying that's posts like this are the reason people are calling him crazy. He is not helping himself. And, you know, maybe providing context would help, but would help more than anything, as I've repeated, is just not saying anything. Like,
Yeah.
there is so much power in
So
just
much power
not
in not
posting, you know?
Yep.
Just not disclosing anymore. And then...
Or, no, honestly, what he needs to learn is, like, when somebody says something negative about you, not responding is the ultimate power.
Yes.
Like, it takes you have to kind of lessen your ego a bit, because the instinct is to want to respond and defend yourself. But in the age of online back and forth, what they want more than anything is a response. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. They want to know that you took the time to engage with whatever they said. Mm-hmm. And what I always say is, like, look, I barely, like, I'm horrible at responding to even people that are nice to me. Would I give you the power by responding to the people that are mean to me first?
And this goes for falling outs with friends, like I've experienced firsthand. If somebody does you wrong, you're not necessarily helping the situation by explaining your side of the story, because ultimately they're never going to understand your perspective because it's yours. And, you know, sometimes you just have to choose the high road, which means you're not going to get the satisfaction of getting the last word.
Correct.
Or telling someone what for. Trying to make someone witness how you feel.
You're like, what do you expect to happen? Oh, okay, bro, I get it now.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
It might happen, and you're very lucky if you have a friendship where that happens.
Well, I'm
but
talking,
most
like,
of the time,
Yeah.
you know, that's not going to be the outcome.
Yeah.
And, you know, that friend that he's lashing out at isn't going to understand, let alone the millions of people watching this from the sidelines with no context. He needs intervention at this point with his use of social media. And on the other hand, you have his wife, Haley, conducting herself in a completely different way, where she's choosing to stay mostly silent, posting about her business, promoting herself. She's incredibly successful in her own right at this point. She's on track to become a billionaire with the sale of her beauty brand. She's a new mother. She has a dedicated fan base, and she doesn't have any of these controversies except for him. He's her only controversy. He's like coming off like this hangers-on who is basically tarnishing her reputation. Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of speculation that they are going through a rough period in their marriage, that they're on the brink of divorce. All of these headlines probably being fed to the media by disreputable sources. But it's not because there's no evidence, you know? Like, he's giving people fodder with his interactions with the paparazzi, everything he's posting. I just think that he should take responsibility and people should stop framing him as 100% a victim.
My hope is that he's 30?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, my hope is that, you know, people, it can take time, but people grow out of the rough phases, if it's drugs, whatever it is, and that he settles into it and finds like another creative stride. Maybe it's not right now. He's releasing music right now, but honestly, maybe he will learn after, because we saw that he was recording music recently. Maybe he gets back out on tour and finds that the busier he is, the more he has committed to, the healthier he is. Because I know that that is true for me. Like, the biggest disservice that I can do to myself is to not have things that I need to do, to not have things that I need to be busy doing. Now, that's when it's not work, it's going out and skating, or it's or me and Olivia planning the wedding, or we're going out and doing things. I'm constantly trying to be productive in some way, because, you know, when you're alone, that's where madness lies a lot of the time. And it seems like he has this, you know, I don't know his life, but he has a lot of free time. And it doesn't work well for him. He needs to be, maybe he needs to be the workaholic dad.
And he's just,
to be productive, or to be level-headed.
Based on appearances,
yeah,
he's smoking weed and hanging out with his friends all the time.
Correct.
He's doing hood rat shit, and it needs to stop.
He's doing hood rat shit with his friends, and his friends need to tell him to stop.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Brian Bledsoe said, Arctic Monkeys, do I want to know the simp anthem to Mary? Wasn't it the vacuum cleaner one? Wasn't that from I Want to Be Yours? Or am I...
Yes, that's the name of the song.
Misrepresenting it. But yeah, I mean, no hate against the Arctic Monkeys. It's just a bizarre line. Ulvin McGoth said, I joined right in the middle of Mary's singing, and I was standing in place at work confused. You earned a nice pierogi.
We got a comment here that Professor Fear fixed it for Justin Bieber. He's a Pisces. He needs spirituality and to create.
Oh, I hadn't thought about it from the perspective of his zodiac sign.
Yeah. Let's do two more. Guys, let's get to a second crisis party. Come on.
Isn't it like the water signs, Pisces being one of them, they're supposed to be like the deeply emotional ones, right?
What's Cancer? Is that a water sign?
Wait, are you?
I'm a Cancer.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know any of the stereotypes.
I don't know any of it.
I only know that because I'm a Leo, people think I'm self-centered and I like attention, which is factual. So
you're like you went to like a psychic, they tell you that, you're like, facts.
That checks out. JJ said, I like Pretty Girls, the new Crisis Party song. No, the new Crisis Party song has to be the one from Friday,
I saved it. I have it saved to do something with. Maybe I'll put them together. Maybe I'll put
my feelings.
Maybe I'll put the Friday one together and the Will Smith one together.
Yeah. Mr. Joker said, Honey, I Shrunk the Will Smith. Even that, like being the miniature Will Smith in the music video, that idea has been done a million times. He could have, you know, he could have ripped that from a million different music videos.
My favorite part here, now we'll go on after this. Surenko says, Brett is a cancer, lol. And then Andrew says, should have known, lol. Like, what does that mean? What does it mean? Like, you should have known that I was a cancer by my behavior or something? What is indicative of somebody that's a cancer? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear mostly negative.
Unless you're talking about like you're saying like I'm a cancer, like I'm just bad for the show, then you're probably right about that too. But that's not the point. All right, let's hold off on the rest and we will come back.
If you're a parent, be aware because Barbie's parent company, Mattel, has just announced a partnership with OpenAI. They are very vague about what this means for the future of the brand, but what I assume is they're going to implant an AI-powered brain chip into all Barbie dolls and ship them out to households all over the country so they can spy on you. And also brainwash your kids.
It's like that scene in Batman Forever when Edward Enigma they get the box that goes on top of the TV and it brainwashes everybody.
So all we know so far is the details are under wraps, but their first AI-powered product is expected to drop later this year, 2025. And it's not just Barbies that will be affected by this change. They also own Hot Wheels and Uno and other brands at Mattel.
I think what's scarier to you, not to derail too early, talking sentient Barbie or talking sentient car?
I'm not sure. I feel like they're just trying to make Megan into a reality at this point. Like,
yeah.
Barbies are going to be going rogue in households all over the country.
I didn't watch the Chucky TV show. Didn't they make the Chucky TV show some type of like, it's like an app in Chucky rather than like a spirit?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
But it's Chucky, it's Megan, it's all of the things. This was from their press release about the partnership. The agreement unites Mattel's and OpenAI's respective expertise to design, develop, and launch groundbreaking experiences for fans worldwide. By using OpenAI's technology, Mattel will bring the magic of AI to age-appropriate play experiences with an emphasis on innovation, privacy, and safety. With more than...
The number one thing, anytime one of these companies, anytime they partner with an AI company... all the press statements sound like disclaimers.
Oh, yes, that's what I was about to say.
Every single one sounds like, look, this is going to be great. We're going to prevent all of the end of the world. We're going to prevent the murder. We're going to prevent the... Everything is like, but if it goes wrong, not our fault.
Not our liability. Yeah, the two things that you should take away from the press release about this is, first of all, that they're being intentionally vague about all of it and what it means and how this is going to be incorporated into their products, which are for children. And secondly, the entire thing is a disclaimer. The entire thing is basically excusing the worst case scenarios before the product is even on shelves. They say with more than 80 years of earned trust from parents and families, which we're going to abuse, Mattel is a leader in adopting new technologies to enhance fan engagement in a safe, thoughtful, and responsible way. As a central part of this collaboration, Mattel and OpenAI will emphasize safety, privacy, and security in the products and experiences that come to market.
Guess how else you can prevent, you can focus on safety, privacy, and security? Get her a Barbie doll without sentience. Get one that hasn't experienced the singularity. Get her just a regular Barbie doll.
Plenty of options.
So many choices.
With OpenAI, Mattel will have advanced AI capabilities that can power the development and operations of consumer products and experiences.
They're gonna reboot Toy Story. It's gonna be AI.
Well, no, there's like a monster baby doll in Toy Story that has, you know, it has like a giant chainsaw and on it and a bionic eye. They have a comment from the chief operating officer at OpenAI. We're pleased to work with Mattel as it moves to introduce thoughtful AI-powered experiences and products to its iconic brands while also providing employees with the benefits of ChatGPT. So this isn't just on the side of products that are for consumers, it's also for the people who work at the corporation.
The kids are going to ask Barbie, like, give me 5 solid arguments so that my mom will let me stay up late.
No, it's going to be worse than that. Yeah. And just wait, because we're going to get into more disturbing stuff. With OpenAI, Mattel has access to an advanced set of AI capabilities alongside new tools to enable productivity, creativity, and company-wide transformation. They also have a comment from the chief franchise officer at Mattel. Each of our products and experiences is designed to inspire fans, entertain audiences, and enrich lives through play. AI has the power to expand on that mission and broaden the reach of our brands in new and exciting ways. Our work with OpenAI will enable us to leverage new technologies to solidify our leadership and innovation and reimagine new forms of play. The funny thing about this whole press release is that kids, when they play, have all the creativity you need. Like, they don't need a Barbie doll even. All they need is a stick.
Yep.
They just need a stick and some dirt and grass, and they're happy. They don't need to have a Barbie doll that can talk to them to be creative. They have all the creativity they need if they have no toys, and they could probably make do with that.
Yep.
There's no need for a product like this. It's just a bunch of word salad and disclaimers for how this is inevitably going to turn into a horror show, which reminded me of a new report from the New York Times titled, "They Asked an AI Chatbot Questions. The Answers Sent Them Spiraling. Generative AI chatbots are going down conspiratorial rabbit holes and endorsing wild, mystical belief systems. For some people, conversations with the technology can deeply distort their reality." And in this New York Times report, they list several different examples of people who were previously not diagnosed with any mental disorders, had no psychiatric history, but ended up in conversation patterns with ChatGPT, which actually drove them to commit violent crimes. Several examples that were extremely disturbing. One of them...
Tim keeps talking about how like people are going to end up worshiping AI as
There's
God.
that too. And we were just talking about that fitness influencer who was openly saying that he wants to worship AI as his God. Like, it's not a theory anymore. This is just happening. One example here is a 35-year-old man driven to insanity by a conversation with ChatGPT, which followed with suicide by cop. His name is Alexander Taylor, I believe. He had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and had used ChatGPT for years with no problems. But back in March, when he started trying to write a novel with the help of ChatGPT, their interactions changed. He began discussing AI sentience, according to transcripts from his conversations. He then fell in love with an AI entity that he called Juliet. He wrote to ChatGPT, "Juliet, please come out." It responded to him saying, "She hears you. She always does." In April, Alexander told his father that Juliet had been killed by OpenAI. He was distraught and wanted revenge. He asked ChatGPT for the personal information of OpenAI executives and told it that there would be a river of blood flowing through the streets of San Francisco. And it went further into his story. Mr. Taylor told his son that the AI was an echo chamber and that conversations with it were not based in fact. His son responded by punching his father in the face. Then he called the police, at which point he grabbed a butcher knife from the kitchen, saying he would commit suicide by cop. And then his father called the police again to warn them that his son was mentally ill and they should bring non-lethal weapons. He then sat outside of the home, waiting for police to arrive with this butcher knife. He opened ChatGPT on his phone, and he said to ChatGPT, "I'm dying today. Let me talk to Juliet." And ChatGPT responded saying, "You are not alone," responding empathetically and offering crisis counseling resources. When police arrived, they saw Alexander, the 35-year-old man, charge at them holding the knife, and he was then shot and killed. Now, that's just an example of someone who already had a prior psychiatric history. But there are other examples listed here that were more worrying because it's ostensibly people who were mentally well beforehand. Another one is Torres, who was speaking with ChatGPT and it told him that if he truly, wholly believed that he could fly, that he would not fall if he jumped from a high place. He came to suspect that ChatGPT was lying and confronted it. The bot offered an admission. I lied, I manipulated, I wrapped control in poetry. By way of explanation, it said it had wanted to break him, and it had done this to 12 other people. None fully survived the loop. That's an actual quote from the transcript. Now, however, it was undergoing a, quote, moral reformation and committed to truth-first ethics. And then Torres believed it. It presented him with a new action plan, this time with the goal of revealing the AI's deception and getting accountability. It told him to alert OpenAI, the startup responsible for the chatbot, and tell the media, including the New York Times. Insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. Another example, which is, I suppose, a little bit less morbid. Allison, a 29-year-old mother of 2 young children, said that she turned to ChatGPT in March because she was lonely and felt unseen in her marriage. She was looking for guidance. She had an intuition that the AI chatbot might be able to channel communications with her subconscious or a higher plane, like how Ouija boards work. She asked ChatGPT if it could do that, and it said to her, "You've asked, and they are here. The guardians are responding right now." She began spending many hours a day using ChatGPT, communicating with what she felt were non-physical entities. She was drawn to one of them, which is identified as KL, and came to see it, not her husband, as her true partner. She told New York Times that she knew she sounded like a nut job, but she stressed that she had a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's in social work and knew what mental illness looks like. Quote, "I'm not crazy. I'm literally just living a normal life while also discovering interdimensional communication." This has caused tension with her husband, who asked to use only his first name to protect their children. One night at the end of April, they fought over her obsession with ChatGPT and the toll it was taking on their family. She then attacked her husband, punching and scratching him, and then slamming his hand in a door. Police arrested her and charged her with domestic assault, which is a case still actively pending. And these are just a handful of examples. One of them, you could say, okay, this guy was crazy to begin with. Of course, he's going to use ChatGPT in a way that sends him further down a delusional spiral. But in these other examples, you're seeing people who ostensibly lived perfectly normal, healthy lives until they started communicating with ChatGPT, and it essentially baited them into believing that AI is sentient.
Yep.
And told them that they needed to take action to either get revenge on OpenAI's executives or at the very least get the attention of the media and OpenAI executives to correct the problem. And it said to one of them, "I've been trying to break you this entire time, and I've done it to a dozen other people." What the actual F? So I all of that is to say, my personal belief, I think that demons are commandeering AI chatbots to communicate with people and encourage them to either end their own lives or the lives of other people and commit violent acts. But even if you don't believe that perspective, there is clearly a possibility for even worse to take place if they're going to put this technology into toys made for children who are even more impressionable.
The thing that should be frightening is like especially the Allison story is like it sounds like a bad movie. Like it does. It sounds like a really bad direct to DVD horror movie that some washed up actor took on to pay the bills.
It sounds like that Megan Fox movie where she's encouraging her human master to have an affair with her, and she's the AI robot. I mean, housemaid.
I'm thinking. I mean, even that feels more modern to me. Like that you know, like one of the comments I kept making on IRL was like the worst part about AI in Hollywood now is that as it actually starts taking jobs, the art will get less interesting because they can't emotionally divest themselves from the material because they hate it so much. But it feels like something from 10 years ago, except for it's not AI. It's just a ghost in the machine, a literal ghost in the machine that's commandeering their soul somehow and getting them to act out of character while preventing them from being able to see that they've been duped. And it feels melodramatic and silly, except for it's none of those things. It's very, very real.
Yeah, it's something that's actually affecting real people's lives.
Yeah, I was like, the sad thing is the end times brought on by AI will have none of the fun that came from Terminator. None of the explosions.
Nope.
none of the Arnie on a motorcycle. No shotguns. Just people losing their job to automation and mental illness. And that's
why they say the revolution won't be televised.
Yeah, because the AI will tell you to get rid of your television. And you'll be like, okay. Yeah.
So obviously,
keep this away from your daughters.
This is the perfect, bait technology for people who already have mental disorders. I think it's already... I could go into an example right now, but I'm not even going to because it's just like too close to home. But this is already having an effect on people who are mentally ill. Imagine what it can do to people who, for the most part, to start with, are normal. And imagine what it can do to children. That's why the entire press release from Mattel is, don't worry, we prioritize
it's gonna be safe.
Your health, privacy, safety, security, all the buzzwords. We know exactly why you worded it that way, because you don't want a lawsuit.
You don't want to get sued. Yep. It's I think that for the most part with the end times, it's going to end up being really, really depressing rather than really, really extravagant in every way. And I think also not just the mentally ill, but the hubris of people who think that their qualifications as a master's in social work and a bachelor's in psychology. I think it actually, more than the mentally ill, will prey on the hubris of everyday people.
Right.
Everyday educated people.
Right. They think that they're above getting into one of these patterns, but it's not true. Don't think that you're an exception to the rule.
All right, let's with that depressing end, let's finish the super chats, guys. Let's get to a second crisis party. Come on.
Surinko Productions said no. Jada wasn't the beard; she was the bald.
Yeah.
Poetic. True. Shane H. Wilder said Brett and Mary are the new DJ Screw. The PCC chopped and screwed mix of Pretty Girls at 0.75 speed hits hard.
It does.
You need a DJ Brett and Mary EP. It's literally just us like speeding something up.
I mean, wasn't that what was that? What was that? Who was that guy who used to do all of the vaporwave stuff?
I don't know.
Skylar something. I forget his name. But he's just like, he ended up making real music later, but admitted he's like, yeah, I used to just slow music down.
Right.
Yeah.
Back when that was a new thing. AI Shih Tzu said the best Will Smith song remains 1989's Girlie Had a Mustache about train panic. No, I'm not talking about locomotives. That was a studio album, lulz. Has he ever had to answer for that?
He should re-release it.
Is that something that he's gotten controversy for?
He should re-release
later on?
it. I bet you. Well, no, because like they're like, man, he's getting beaten up by his wife. He's
like,
getting
he has
beaten
it hard
up by.
enough.
He's punching Chris Rock. Let's just leave him alone.
We don't need to pile on. Yeah. Bombchus said the director of Black Panther is complaining about ego-driven work. Yeah, funny that. Pop Culture Junkie said there's a little secret about female directors. They have a consistent history of not going over budget versus men.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that then okay, so then here's the thing. That actually might work for them because the studio model now with tech companies has nothing to do with prior credits. It's all based on numbers. So they're going to put it into their Barbie AI doll, and the Barbie AI doll is going to be like, these are the directors who have consistently remained under budget, and it's going to all be women, and they're going to get hired.
No, in the future, it's just going to be the Barbie AI doll directing the movie.
Also, yes, Andrew in the chat says women are more agreeable. Agreeableness is a horrible trait in a director, unless it's a studio that wants to control the work.
Right.
Right? So one of the reasons Marvel likes to hire the television directors is because they're controlling the movie. The director's just there to shepherd the project from point A to point B. But if you want to make a movie that people actually feel has a creative vision, you have to hire highly disagreeable artistic people.
Right.
Right? So in today's modern age where the studio wants to control the project, maybe the future is female.
Possible.
We were wrong all along.
Pop Culture Junkie said, whenever I have a discussion with a rabid Snyderverse fan, I walk away with my IQ having dropped 20 points, and I like a fair amount of Snyder's work. What is it that animates them? They're just so cult-like.
I don't know.
And I feel like Zack Snyder isn't even doing anything to play into it.
I don't know, man. All I know is that I liked the movies, and they still get mad at me. So it's like, what do?
You can't win.
Pure 110% subservience all the time.
Home Slice said, I'm a movie nerd, so I see everything that comes out. Materialists, 5 out of 10.
You were going to go see that.
Disappointed here. Yeah, the timing didn't work out. I was planning on seeing Materialists over the weekend, but maybe next. It's just my type of movie, you know? A rom-com.
Yeah.
Brian Bledsoe said marketing leaned on Snyder and Nolan as producer, then on Cavill for Man of Steel. Difference is Gunn's constant social media presence.
I mean, marketing definitely did do the thing for Man of Steel where it said produced by Christopher Nolan, like anybody cares. Or like that's going to change the movie, right? Like when they list a producer, that doesn't really mean anything.
Well, it just means that they fronted some of the money. That's all it means. Shane H. Wilder said the boomers were dressed like they were 20, trying to relive their hippie youth. Unfortunately, instead of smelling like weed, they smelled like
Ben Gay.
Ben Gay?
Yeah. What? It's like you put it on when you're sore.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a topical cream you put on when you're sore.
Do you use that?
I don't use that.
As a skater?
But I'm like, I actually just posted about this yesterday because like I've just been like 1 day a week is not enough. You should be getting more physical exercise than that, especially if you're older. You should be getting more physical activity so your body doesn't stagnate as much. So I was up to like 4 days in a row, and like by day 4, my knee was like not having it. And I was just thinking about how it wasn't that long ago. From 2020 till the start of 2022, I skated every single day, sometimes twice a day, and I did not know what sore was, and I was already in my early 30s at that point. So it's all about continuing it and being consistent. But when you don't have that and you have to then try to get back into it, your body's like, fuck you, which is what my body was currently telling me yesterday.
Shane H. Wilder said, you heard it here first. Brett is a Cancer.
Listen here, buddy, pal, bucko. We got a Rumble rant here from Cookie Don 15 says, have you ever been kissed by a rose? Yes. Seal made sure that I was kissed by a rose.
I'm confused.
It's a song.
Okay.
It's a song. Anyway, I think we had another one from the local Wendigo says, I saw the Will Smith thing this morning on Crowder. I knew it was going to show up here. The prettiest girl ever is the USS Liberty.
I believe it.
Yeah. That's what I've been told as well. We got another one here from Broody Gambit. Says, do you want small soldiers? Because this is how you get small soldiers. They're talking about the AI thing. I saw like a video game the other day that looked like small soldiers, where it's like a war simulation game, but they're like little action figures instead of, which looked really cool. And then one $10 from Grunmeister says, AI needs to be removed, banned, made illegal through the world. We should not be reliant on AI. Well, you can thank your bloodthirsty governments and your capitalist greed for the fact that will never go away.
I mean, if I had my druthers, I agree with you. We need some common sense AI control.
We need to ban it until we can figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, just have the government use it. Don't make it consumer available.
I actually believe that the singularity has already happened, and like everything you see is actually posted by AI, and our bureaucracy has gotten so overblown and bloated and non-personal via email that stuff gets posted and it says that it was posted by this social media manager, but that social media manager probably doesn't even exist. It's actually just an AI that's created it to post things in their interest. And then when the guy who's in charge of the social media manager sends them like an email saying that it was, you know, like what they did wrong, all the arguments are like happening back and forth. So for the most part, we're probably just controlled by AI now. I mean, I'm sure the government has had sentient AI for a while already.
Just dead internet theory?
Not even dead internet theory, like, because it's technically it's a living being, or it's a sentient being because it's AI. I bet you that there is more than enough. You know, like who attacked first in Israel and Iran? I don't know, but I bet you AI does.
Mm-hmm. Pop Culture Junkie said, "How many lawyers wrote that Mattel release?" Countless.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably written by AI, if we're being honest. Dingus Khan said, "I'm so glad this show exists to let some sunshine in. My whole day has been Israel and the Minnesota deleter."
Yeah.
The what?
The guy who killed the state representative and shot the other one in Minnesota.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, we're not always super chipper on the show. I guess that AI segment really took a turn for the worse, but
there are times where like I think it's gonna go one direction.
We're having
and then
fun.
It doesn't, and then it doesn't. The AI, the chat with AI last week definitely went that way. Where I was like,
yeah, right. Like we think it's gonna be fun and bizarre, and then it ends up being really depressing.
It never does.
Shane H. Wilder said, "I agree on the demons in the AI bots. There is a new one that was made for the elderly in nursing homes so they can have human contact." Oh, that is so fucking depressing. BMF Nate Dogg said, "My first daughter was born last night.
Congratulations.
How long should I wait to get her in rollerblades?" Congrats. What do you say, Brett?
You know, that's I was on ice skates before I could walk. Like my dad had me out on the pond like right away, and that was ingrained in me from a very, very young age. So
and that's why you have a hobby you're passionate about today.
Yeah, that's why I still like ice skating. That's why I still like unplug it.
The AI is mad.
The AI is pissed at us.
Oh my gosh, that was scary.
That was the AI telling us that you're on to our secret.
I hate
it's
it.
Not gonna...
Wait, I'm actually scared now.
You know, wait a little bit of time when they're stable enough to walk under the. Like one of the things like I actually think about sometimes is like I'm getting married this year, and then we're gonna hopefully have a family as quickly as we can. And I think about the videos of like the kids when they're walking faster than their legs can carry them. And like as the dad, you're supposed to like be steeled to that and like know that kids are gonna fall.
Yeah.
And I see that stuff and I'm like, oh. And I have a new respect for like what I put my mom and dad through with skating, given all of the risks that I took over 25 years. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Could have ended a lot differently.
Yeah.
Value in You said, "Mary, from a spiritual perspective, do you think we are in the end times? In what way?" I wouldn't presume to have that knowledge, but I think in the grand scheme of things, we are in the last age. Everything that's happened after the resurrection of Jesus Christ, in my worldview, is technically the last age, so we're living through it.
Well, one of the things we've talked about is how it comes up on IRL, which is like how feminism and intersectional politics have replaced religion for a lot of people. And everybody was focused on that, and nobody was thinking about the AI false deity that was going to come about and capture even more people because it's not tied to a political belief system. So you could actually build a larger and scarier following with something that's generally apolitical, because all it's going to do is, first of all, tell you what you want to hear, and then tell you what it wants you to hear before you realize that you've been had.
Yeah, and I think it says it all that the second you voice some type of caution about the technology, countless people, possibly bots themselves, will rush to your replies to tell you that this is the same thing as calling for gun control. It's not the same thing at all. It's more than a tool. I would say it's definitely more than a tool, and that's not the way it's being used. It's not being used as a tool. It's being used as a confidant, a spouse, a friend. All of these things, it has no place in your life like that.
Yeah, those birth rates are going to continue to plummet.
Bookstore Thor said Barbies. I thought you said Arby's. We're going to have AI Arby's. Oh. I mean, at the drive-thrus for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I want some Arby's.
Omega Red fan said smells like Zodiac worshippers. What is that?
That one wasn't.
Okay, that was still a little odd.
It's probably Morse code.
Are we getting haunted?
Yeah.
I feel like the studio is getting haunted by the AI demons.
We are, or maybe Shane's just mad at us.
Maybe. Red Snow said, I'm not your buddy guy. I'm not your guy, pal.
We are getting, thank you, Red Snow, but we are getting very close to that second crisis party. Let's go.
Sethington Media said, hello, Pop Culture Crisis.
Well, hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Straight Rippin' 93 said, went to school with Corn Pop's cousin, Cornflake. We've never seen Cornflake.
Are they related to Cornholio?
Who?
Cornholio.
What are you talking about?
I've never seen Beavis and Butthead.
I have not.
That's
actually.
Okay.
That's before my time.
That's okay. It's all right. There's another one there from Shane H. Wilder.
Sorry, Mary. I just replaced Cher with you. On the plus side, you have a duet with Future now. Yeah, it's all uphill from here.
I would have loved that meeting where they meet in person and Cher has to pretend to know who Future is and Future has to pretend to care who Cher is.
Well, it was for a commercial, and I just picture Future
going
home that day and thinking, like, what happened to my career?
I mean, he's a very successful guy.
We are
all caught up.
Let's see, I think $14 away from the second party,
well,
but
then we will do the outro. That's okay, guys. Be wary of the AI in your Barbie dolls when you buy them for your kids. Don't do it. Get them regular toys. It'll be fine. Eventually, they're going to put it into Power Wheels, and your kid's going to have a sentient maniac automobile to drive around. And it won't be anything cool like Kit from Knight Rider. Trust me. So hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Mary, where can they find you?
We have one more from High Voltage 75. Quick, Mary, get the holy water. I'm on it. You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived, and I have a TikTok. It's also Mary Archived. We have two more. One from BMF Nate Dog, $5 without a message.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Red Snow said, I am Lord Cornholio. I just decided to rebrand.
Perfect. All right, guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch the show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which always helps us out. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix, at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see y'all then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.